Red Balloon Rock Talk.
Well, hey everyone, it's been a few weeks here since we put our last pick of the week out. Got a little tied down at work, both of us, so we're back. And we decided to make amends here. So we're going to do a twofer today. We're going to do a double pick of the week, if you will. So I don't know how you would describe that. Two picks for one, whatever. Anyhow, we're going to try our best to do something interesting and fun for you guys
It's a
again.
double shot Saturday as opposed to a double shot Tuesday,
Yeah, there you go. Sure.
what you would hear on radios.
Yeah, you're going to find that our picks of the week are all over the place. Once again, I'm going all over the map. So is Jim. And, well, we're just going to have some fun here.
Yep.
So without further ado here, let's go ahead and give it to Jim. Go ahead and give us your thoughts.
All right. So my first pick of the week is Wilco. Great band out of Chicago, Illinois. They've been around since 1994. They are considered alternative rock, but they do incorporate a lot of different styles, from country rock to just alternative styles of music. Great stuff. They're less known. You don't really hear them on the radio at all, but definitely worth checking out. The lead singer Jeff Tweedy, he and the bass player John Stirratt are the two original members from 1994. They've gone through a lot of changes, and since 2004, the lineup has been pretty steady with the addition of Nels Klein on guitar, multi instrumentalist Pat Sansone, keyboard player Michael Jorgensen, and drummer Glenn Kochi. Again, all phenomenal musicians in their own right. Wilco's released 11 studio albums, a live double album, and they've had four collaborations on albums with other artists. And like I said, they draw from a variety of musical genres, but primarily music between 1966 and 74. 1974 has been kind of their principal areas of influence. Um, let's see here. So, like I said, they've put out 11 studio albums, and if I were to suggest two albums to maybe check out, their third album called Summer Teeth, put out in 1999, has some that's more in the country rock vein, or songwriter vein. Very, very nice songs on that selection or on that album. And then their eighth album, The Whole Love, which came out in 2011, which has a more aggressive, more rock based sound to it. And I would suggest off of that album the song Art of Almost, um, which features a very intense jam, guitar jam. And I'll tell you, Nels Klein on guitar, just a phenomenal guitarist. He comes out of a jazz background, and so he infuses a lot of jazz elements, but heavy rock as well. Just great stuff. So that's Wilco. Really worth checking out.
Yeah, that's
My
I like what I don't look. I never really listened to Wilco. I mean, I only listened to him a few times, just a little bit.
Yeah,
And I as you were talking, I was thinking to myself, you know, I didn't realize I didn't realize they were around as long as they have been, and I
yeah,
and I recall thinking about how their tone is. They're a unique upbeat sound,
yeah.
um, and I I definitely want to check out your last pick that your last statement there where it's a little edgier because that's not what they're known for. I think,
Right,
and
right.
I want to see what
Yeah.
that is.
When
That's just
when
a thing.
yeah, when Nels Klein came in, he brought in uh, that ability of the band to go into a heavier, more heavy rock style of jamming,
Right.
and which helped really take them in new directions. And but yeah, definitely
And I
they're
think that's one of the reasons I want to listen to that because if you know me by now, listening to all of our different picks and different things, I like a really heavy sounding band,
yeah,
and one of
yeah,
mine are going to be just that again. And I think that's probably why I never latched on to Wilco because it was
yep,
just a little bit too soft for me. But if you're in the mood for it, you're in the mood for it, and you can handle anything. So
yep.
I think that's a cool pick. I want to definitely check that out.
Yeah, and I, to be honest, it took me a while before I really was introduced. A friend of mine introduced me to them, and It took a little while to get into them, but as I listened more and more, I got drawn further into it. Really started enjoying them. So yeah, Wilco.
Nice.
My second pick is Gary Clark Jr. and he is a newer artist. He is from Austin, Texas. He's known for blues rock with a touch of soul music and hip hop in there. He's a black artist that has latched into and really taken off with that blues rock style, which is great. Again, if you listen to his albums, they're very eclectic and like I said, I mean, he brings in all these different elements that creates a great listen. He let's see, so he has put out 5 albums, 2 live albums, 3 EPs, 7 singles, and he's won 4 Grammys.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and really he's been it's been since like 2001 that his career has been going, and he so for instance in 2014 he won a Grammy for Best Traditional R&B Performance for a song called Please Come Home. His last album, which he put out last year, called This Land, won several Grammys. He won a Grammy for Best Rock Song, This Land, and Best Rock Performance for the song This Land. So, I mean, he is a talent, and definitely if you're into blues rock, it is worth a listen if you're not familiar with him. And if I were to suggest 2 albums, his third album called Black and Blue, which came out in 2012, and on that particular album there's a song that I really like called Bright Lights. That's worth checking out if you want to zero in on a particular single. And then I would also suggest This Land, which came out last year. It's his 5th album. Just be forewarned that he is a black musician who is experiencing America in this day and age, and he expresses that through his music, and it can be a tough listen at times, but again it has a rock or a jam to it that just draws you in. So again, Gary Clark Jr. really worth the time to get to know.
Put the earbuds in, which is what you're saying.
Yeah, put earbuds in, and yeah, it's definitely worth a listen.
Cool. All right.
So
there you have it, guys. Those are some seriously interesting picks right there, I think. Excuse me. Wow. Okay. So as promised, and I've talked about this band before briefly in different places, but I finally get to bring it to the forefront with this episode here of our picks, and that is Tool. I absolutely love this band. I don't know why. And then as I researched more of them, I now I know why. I get why, and I'll tell you in a second here. But they're an LA band formed in 1990. Seems like everything I always pick is from California.
I was going to say, there's another California band.
I don't get it. I don't understand my brain, how it's operating like this. I just, whatever. So the band members are drummer Danny Carey, guitarist Adam Jones, vocalist, frontman Maynard Keenan, and bassist Justin Chancellor, who replaced Paul Diamore in 1995. So they're still playing, their current band right now. They put out 5 albums. They got 4 Grammys. So, they're just a really under the radar kind of band. That heavy metal sound, the heavier sound. I mean, they're described as all kinds of different things. And this is why I couldn't understand why I really gravitated to them, because they have a very heavy yet somber sound. All their songs are really lengthy.
Yeah.
They're really well crafted. There's time signatures like all over the place. Just crazy. Everything is, and it shifts inside the songs as well. So if you're really music junkie and you pay attention to that stuff, it's all over the map. It's really complicated. It's complex. So
it's heavy metal with a progressive attitude.
Yeah, it's got attitude for sure. And so there was I was reading this article, and I apologize for not writing down the author's name of it, but they likened the sound to qualities of Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd, even Rage Against the Machine. and I was like, well, you've heard me talk about all these bands already. I love these bands. And I hear it and I can sense that. I'm like, okay, that's why I like and gravitate towards Tool so much, because these are like bands I absolutely love and admire.
Yep.
And are all wrapped up into Tool. And, you know, one of the biggest influences on Tool as a band, you love this, ready for it? King Crimson. So there's that weird darkish, heavier,
Yep.
somber, whatever you want to call it, that mystical sound. I don't know. There's a lot to the complexity of their music that reverberates against all those bands that I've just mentioned. And I know you're a big King Crimson fan.
Yeah.
I'm actually the one that turned you on to King Crimson. I love Crimson. Robert Fripp is a crazy good guitarist, but his lyrical writing is just out there. And I just think it's a great band that if you're into that kind of music, like heavier music, and you haven't listened to Tool, and I know there are people out there who do listen to heavy bands, but they just haven't heard this one or haven't given it a try, whether it's the name or whatever. It's a really good listen, and it's not just something where you're going to hear one hit wonders. You know what I mean? It's not like that. These are really highly engineered, well crafted, well written songs that you really have to pay attention to a lot.
And they've had some songs on the radio. I mean,
oh yeah, and I'm gonna recommend two for you. One that you probably have heard on the radio is "Sober." Again, it's a kind of a longer song, but it's just kicking, and you'll love it. And then "Stinkfist," which is a little bit more avant-garde, but I think it's a really cool tune. Just things to think about. So there's a lot more I could talk about with Tool, but I'm not for sake of time here. But check out Tool. I think you will definitely like it if you like specific genres such as metal and some of that other material in there as well. So anyway, all right, moving on. Flipping gears right away. We're going to go to a different kind of style completely here, and I'm going to bring in Dire Straits. Love Dire Straits. It's a band that I think a lot of people are familiar with, and they just haven't been putting anything out lately. So, you hear the classics occasionally on the radio, if you listen to the radio still, even if it's in your Spotify or whatever, Pandora. But, this is a band formed in London, England in 1977. Mark and David Knopfler, John Illsley, and Pick Withers, they're all original members of the band. They all formed that back then. And they've been around, a while, but in 98 they took a little bit of break for about 2 years, came back in 91 and played until 95, putting out some good music. And here's how important they really are. They're considered one of the most influential rock bands ever. They've sold over 100 million albums worldwide. So even though they haven't been relevant for a number of decades here, they're still relevant.
Mark Knopfler. Talk about a signature style, a signature sound.
He reminds me of Santana, Carlos. So distinctive. There's not one person that has even come close to replicating or sounding like those guys.
Yeah, and it only takes like one or two notes, and
absolutely, absolutely. I know, it's crazy. And so, I'm going to recommend "Money for Nothing." I mean, I know it's been on the radio, people have heard it, but go back and just take a re-listen. Same with Sultans of Swing. Great songs, very different in their writing. And "Money for Nothing," I remember when it was on MTV. I'm sure you remember that cool video. And you're like, what? Is that possible? How did they do that? I can still remember that argument. It's like, how does that? And it's still relevant today, and it's such a great tune, and they're such a great band, just unbelievable. Just it's blues. It's just beautiful. It's just melodic. I love it.
A tidbit of information on "Money for Nothing." The background singer was. Do you know? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Sting.
What? Oh wow.
Sting
okay.
was the one that.
Oh
sang
yeah, that's
Money
right. Oh my. Yeah. He's got the high.
I want my MTV when he sang "I Want My MTV." That was Sting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Holy moly. Yeah. Totally forgot about that.
Little tidbit to throw in there. So yeah.
Sure. Yeah, but I mean, Money for Nothing's off the band Brothers in Arms. What
Yeah.
a great album that is. You know, songs like Go Far Away, One World, Brothers in Arms itself.
Yep.
You know, I just think, you know, we talked about this too, about Mark Knopfler. He should have been on our list when we did our episode on underrated guitarists.
Yeah.
And there's a perfect example of what didn't make the list, but should be on the list. And, you know, you can only have so many on a grouping 10, you know.
Yep.
Top 50 guitars, and you can still go and do more. You know what I mean? But
Yep.
yeah, he's definitely underrated, but what a great sound. So anyway, those are our picks of last week and this week.
Great pick.
And I hope you like those. Please check those out. Yeah, I think so too. Just all over the place.
It is.
So we want you guys to go check those out, enjoy them, and please write us a comment if you like what we're doing here and you liked our picks this week. I'm Mark. This is Jim. This is Lead Balloon Rock Talk, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. Take care,
next
everyone.
time.